wasn't sure whether Coffee was going to mention it, but sorry, before I get into my presentation of this award, I understand our president did something special today. Yeah. So to all of our LGBT brothers and sisters, you earned it today. You earned it. Thank you for having me. A pleasure to be here. First of all, also add my congratulations to Liberty Hill for 30 years. Their board of directors, thank you. Their staff, thank you. And to their marvelous and extraordinary, after me, probably the best rising star in philanthropy, I guess. Coffee Blumenfeld. Coffee. Just extraordinary. So I received a phone call from the good folks at Liberty Hill, and we've had a great relationship with them at the California Endowment. They've been great partners with us. In fact, in my introduction to philanthropy when I arrived in Los Angeles 12 years ago, it was Tori Osborne and Michelle Pritchard who began to teach me about social justice philanthropy. I think it was a meeting we probably had scheduled for about a half hour, Tori, and we were in there for 2.5 hours. I said, really? You could do that? Really? And I love that thing on the wall there that says change, not charity. Yeah, I've been trying to buy that slogan. And they keep adding zeros and zeros, and they just won't give it up. But thank you for their great work and leadership on all kinds of social justice issues in our region and our community. Particularly, we're partners right now in the Boys and Young Men of Color work, so thank you so much, Coffee and Liberty Hill. So I got this call from one of the good folks at Liberty Hill to asking me if I were interested in being the award presenter for Manuel Pastor. And my first reaction was, I don't have time for that nonsense. Isn't that during the playoffs? I mean, you know. And then they were explaining how the night would say, wait a minute, you mean I get an open mic in front of hundreds of people and 5 minutes to say whatever I want about Manuel Pastor? After I've been the butt of his humor for 7 years? So I decided to engage in a report about how Manuel came back to LA and USC. And I started by interviewing his wonderful bride, Betsy, about what really happened to get him back here. She told me that he had intended to leave the academic sector and get into real, tangible, meaningful, authentic social justice work. And he met with Anthony Thigpen, the great community organizer, and he found out how much money community organizers make. So he ditched that plan. He then consulted with Marquise Harris Dawson of Community Coalition to find out about social justice, community-based organizations, and he found out how much Marquise makes. He ditched that plan. He then wanted to find out about our career in social justice philanthropy and talked to Coffee Blumenfeld, and well, you know how that ended up. Then he heard that USC was desperate to hire tenure-track Latinos. Since the last one they had was probably Anthony Munoz, the offensive lineman and All-American football player in the 70s. So he got an interview, and he shows up at the interview, and I got this on very good digging, research, hard research. I found someone who was in the interview room when Manuel showed up for his interview. And Manuel shows up and he says, "Man, let's skip the interview BS. Here are my demands, dude." And he slapped a draft contract on the table. And the contract had, I obtained the document through WikiLeaks, by the way. And the document had 5 very simple contract provisions. The first one was, I get to teach whatever the hell I want to teach whenever I feel like teaching it. The second was, I want a sign posted at the entrance of my lecture hall for the students that says, "¿Qué pasa, raza?" The third was, I want musical selections from Celia Cruz and the Buena Vista Social Club piped into my lecture hall. The fourth was, you pay me ridiculous sums of money for a guaranteed contract, no chump change, please. And P.S., by the way, power to the people. So the USC official is aghast and perplexed, and Manuel says, "And if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to stick Maria Elena Durazo and Dolores Huerta on your sorry asses." And so Manuel got his deal. And they named him, get this, they named him professor of geography. I'm not making that part up. Right? Like, if you can figure out how mountains and rivers and stuff have something to do with what he does, I don't know. But he's a professor of geography, right? I then ran into USC President Max Nikias at a social function and congratulated Max on embarking on a record-setting $6 billion fundraising campaign for USC. And he confided in me, I got to help pay for Manuel's contract. I'm almost done, Manuel. But seriously, Manuel has proven to be what we want from our academically situated leaders. Rather than allowing his numbers to tell the story, he allows the numbers to tell his story. And his story is about voice and equity and power and inclusion and diversity and social change and social justice. He is about optimism and hope and coalition building for positive, community-driven social change. He is, in a single human being, the most powerful combination of intellectual brilliance, emotional intelligence, and passion for the human condition I have ever known. If Cesar Chavez were a university professor, he would be Manuel Pastor. If Martin Luther King Jr. were a researcher, he would be Manuel Pastor. If Gandhi were tenure track, he would be Manuel Pastor. Regarding his novel, The Jungle, Upton Sinclair remarked, "I aimed at the public's heart, and by accident, I hit it in the stomach." With his work, Manuel Pastor aims at our minds, but grabs our hearts. Join me and the Liberty Hill Foundation in congratulating Manuel Pastor and receiving the Wally Marks Changemaker Award.